Welcome to a special edition of The Writer's Dream. Today we have a special guest. He's really not the author of books, but he is the author of much happiness. So we have with us today Santa Claus.
Hello.
Hi, Santa Claus. And it's actually the day or a few days after your big night on Christmas Eve when you deliver all of those toys. It's the pressure is off. Everyone talks about you before Christmas. Everybody talks about you during Christmas. And then after Christmas, we forget all about you.
That's right.
So I thought today what we could do is we could talk about where the legend of Santa Claus originated,
Great.
How you got to us, and then I have a number of questions that various people have asked me about Santa Claus, and you can tell us whatever you wish.
My pleasure.
And if you want to keep secrets, you go right ahead. Okay, here we go. So, Santa Claus, his life and legacy. Most of us know Santa Claus as the jolly, red-cheeked gift bearer who shows up each Christmas season. During the past 1,700 years, however, he has taken many names and faces. One thing remains clear. The spirit of Father Christmas is so deeply ingrained in our culture that he's bound to live on for millennia to come. That's better than going to the doctor.
Much better.
And getting a good blood test. Before the days of Christianity, sailors prayed to the Greek god Poseidon for calm seas and safe journeys. But when the rise of Christianity brought the downfall of pagan gods, sailors still needed a hero. Until news that a bishop in Asia Minor had all the powers of the Greek gods and more. The bishop's name was Nicholas, and he served in the late 3rd and early 4th centuries in the town of Myra, in what is now known as Turkey. Reportedly, Nicholas witnessed and performed several miracles throughout his lifetime. Even as a babe, he is said to have refused his mother's breast milk on fast days. Tales spread of Nicholas's ability to control the storms at sea and lead seamen to their ports. After his death, he became the patron saint for sailors, fishermen, travelers, and many others. St. Nicholas racked up so many purported miracles in his lifetime and beyond that he became a cult folk hero throughout the Middle Ages. He was perhaps most popular with children, for whom he left presents on the eve of his saint's day, December 5th. But there was a time when Nicholas's status as miracle worker looked grim. In the 1520s, at the beginning of the German Protestant Reformation, Martin Luther objected to the idea of a Catholic saint giving gifts to Protestant children. Luther and other reformers managed to rid the church of any saint-honoring customs around December 5th, but the legend of St. Nicholas stayed alive, quietly roaming German streets door to door in the name of Christ Kindlein, the spirit of the Christ child, who gave presents on Christmas Eve, December 24th. Okay, so that's your date. By 1545, children in good Protestant homes throughout Germany were visited by Christ Kindlein. This transference of tradition spread throughout Protestant Europe, and the idea of a wandering gift giver became associated with the birth of Christ, as well as pre-Christian winter solstice festivals. In English-speaking areas, Christ Kindlein morphed into Kris Kringle, an older secular Father Christmas figure, not surprisingly more like good old St. Nicholas. Hence, before the end of the Middle Ages, St. Nicholas may have lost his sainthood, but he didn't lose his magic.
I still got it.
Yeah, I know.
I still got it.
Santa is magic. As they say in Macy's on those shopping bags, believe.
That's right.
Believe.
That's right.
With a simple name change, he emerged unscathed and held a unique passport to virtually every European country. With a simple name change, Père Noël in France, Nikolai, and I cannot say this word, Chudovortis in Russia.
Close enough.
Close enough, thanks. They're known as Father Frost. Julesven in Norway, Julenisse in Denmark, Nicholas allowed Protestants to have the best of both worlds. He could embody the sacred Christ child and the secular Christmas man. So you're a man for all seasons.
I am.
Here you go.
But I never much cared for Martin Luther.
Well, he's gone.
I know.
But not forgotten. The Santa Claus of Europe was a tall, skinny old man dressed in fur or rags, who wandered the streets by foot or on horseback. Only after he arrived in New York did jolly Saint Nick gain weight, start traveling by reindeer, and establish a home base in the North Pole.
Yeah.
That's New York for you,
It'll
right?
do it to you every time.
I'm telling you. The Dutch settlers who established New Amsterdam, later called New York, in the early 17th century, sailed in a ship with St. Nicholas as its figurehead. The patron saint of Amsterdam quickly became that of New York as well. The Dutch erected their first church in his name and openly celebrated his feast day, a religious holiday that included food, festivity, and gifts. In less than 100 years, the New York Historical Society was holding anniversary dinners for the city's favorite saint. The writer Washington Irving, a member of the society, concocted Diedrich Knickerbocker's History of New York in 1809. It included rich details of Santa Claus, the jolly old elf, who traveled along rooftops and dropped down chimneys to deliver gifts to sleeping children. In 1822, Clement Clark Moore used Irving's description in A Visit from St. Nicholas, a poem he wrote for his children. "'Twas the night before Christmas," and all through the house. Do you ever get tired of hearing that?
Never.
I would.
No.
Me
no.
either. Me
And it's been a
either.
long time, as you can tell from your reading. It's been a very long life.
I know.
I look pretty
Yes. Yes, and what we're seeing here is that the modern day Santa Claus, who you are, is really a production of New York City and its writers, etc. Moore gave us the names of Santa's 8 reindeer, his telltale winks and nods, and his secret method for rising up chimneys by laying his finger aside of his nose. By the 1860s, the illustrator Thomas Nast sealed Santa's image in people's minds across the nation. With his drawings in Harper's Weekly, Nast depicted Santa as a rotund figure with a workshop full of elves at the North Pole. The modern-day Santa was here to stay. There is no telling if Santa would have survived the Dutch tradition in New York if it hadn't been for Irving, Moore, and Nast. Regardless of the century-old stories of St. Nicholas that prevailed throughout Europe, today's Santa is distinctly American, a product of 19th century New York. So, and of course, one of the most famous stories about Santa in New York is the New York Post, where a little girl named Virginia was so upset because somebody said there was no Santa Claus, and they wrote back that, yes, Virginia.
Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus.
Absolutely.
I love that little girl.
Yes.
She's very sweet.
Yes, she's an adorable little girl, and we have so many of them. Because one of my questions to you is, how do you handle all of those letters from children?
Well, I have a very nice staff, a very, very efficient staff, and we work very hard year-round to make sure that the letters are read, the items mentioned in the letters are obtained, and they're distributed to the proper individuals if the individuals have been good.
Yes, naughty or nice.
Well, I'm big on the nice, not so good on the naughty.
Yeah.
You know.
I saw a T-shirt the other day in a department store, and it said, "Dear Santa, define naughty."
Oh, well, that's changed over the years.
I
You
bet.
understand the bar has been lowered and lowered and lowered, but yeah, well, it's naughty is about not behaving and honoring your dad and your mom. That's very important.
That's the first
Pretty
rule.
much the most important thing is if mom and dad say something and you do it, you're guaranteed you're going to probably get your gift. That's the rule.
All right, I like that.
yeah.
I like that. So now we know naughty and nice. What would be the best nice in a child? What would be the best nice thing?
The nicest thing in any child is the look in their eye. And the nicest thing I find in any child is the ability to be nice to any other grown-up or child. If they can be nice to one another, chances are they're going to clean up at Christmas.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, so what was it like this year? There are a lot of a lot of obstacles and challenges in your way. I mean, how did you handle this Christmas Eve? What were the highlights and what were the challenges?
Well, the challenges this year I've never had to deliver so many drones in my life. I mean, it was the big item this year. And I think probably I'm going to have a lot of competition in years to come up in the sky, because a lot of the children who got their drones will be looking for me next year.
Now, I don't know how this works, but the way it works with airplanes is every airplane gets its own altitude to fly it so that they don't crash into one another. Are the drones on one level and you're on another, or are you all on the same level?
I have to come down to the drone level. I mean, I have to hit those chimneys.
That's right.
And a lot of those kids, a lot of them actually this year, those that had them, actually were flying around the chimney trying to spot me. And it's very important that might come and go secretly. So I had to devise special methods to work around the drones, but I was successful, as I always am.
Good.
Yeah.
Because we all want our presents.
No, I got those gifts delivered, but the drones,
I heard this news report. I only heard it once on the news, and after that I didn't hear it again. But it said that you collided with a drone. It got stuck on your runner, and the next roof that you landed on, you put a hole in the roof with the drone.
Hearsay. That's hearsay. There were no charges, and you'll have to see my attorney.
Okay. There is a video. It's called Prep and Landing, and it chronicles the elite advanced force of your elves who actually go out and make sure that every house has a good roof to land on, a wide enough chimney, okay, and a proper Christmas tree to put presents under.
That's all very true, but don't undersell the ability of the reindeer. The reindeer really have the skill and the knowledge, and now they have GPS, so they're able to nail a landing pretty well.
Well, that's good.
Because lots of times I'm busy in the sleigh, so the reindeer have to make sure I get there and get there well. So 9 times out of, I think the reindeer are the unsung heroes of a lot of my work.
Yes. I read that, and you can verify this or not, that reindeer, both male and female reindeer have antlers, and that the male reindeer lose their antlers in the fall, but the females keep them till the spring. So are all your reindeers male or female?
It's an all-female team.
Yeah.
Santa likes it that way. Yeah, because they all have antlers. And I need the antlers. It's part of the silhouette. I got to have it. So, yes. I mean, it's a tradition.
No, well, that's good to know. Yeah. So what about Rudolph? You have GPS now.
Rudolph's nose is specially equipped to handle any situation, but there are oftentimes we have Wi-Fi difficulty, but he's pretty well signed in. So he's the lander. He's the one that gets going. Right. Actually, Rudolph is a she, as you well know, but we just covered that. So.
Well, I know. We have to, have equality of the sexes.
Yes.
So, yeah. Okay. That's good. That's very good. All right. So how many toys?
This year, there were over 450,000 million, and I managed to get them all in one bag, which I do.
That's the magic.
That's the magic. You got it. I can't let all my secrets out. I mean, I do have, I've got to keep some of them low. Because there's a lot of guys out there that would take the job just like that if I didn't.
I know. There are so many.
No, they're
impersonating
They're
Santas.
always trying to, push me aside and, and take over. Those guys ringing those bells in Manhattan,
Yeah.
A lot of them aren't even fat. So, they don't even play the part very well. So.
Yeah.
But it's very hard, to keep myself original, but I try every year to be more and more original.
Yeah. Well, I think it's your magic that is going to always distinguish you, because there are things that you're going to be able to accomplish that
Thank you. I appreciate that.
fake Santas cannot accomplish. I got one question. This is really, this person must be a Trekkie, okay? And it says, They wanted to know which time travel or parallel universe device do you use to reach everyone in one night?
That may come under the umbrella of, magic.
I think so.
You know what I mean? Because there's a trick to being in 40 million places at once.
I bet.
And it does, I will say that at the end of the night, I'm rather tired and much thinner. But I get the job done, but it takes a lot out of me, which is why I'm looking forward to a nice postseason.
Now, the cookies and milk.
Keep me going.
Absolutely.
Keep me going, yeah.
Do you have a special diet or physical regimen that you follow during the year to get yourself in shape?
Oh, I prepare every year, and the elves help me prepare. We have a gym, and I keep myself very, very fit, but I've got to maintain the weight. I've got to keep it up, so it's a hard thing to keep my stamina and my weight up. But I manage, with the help of the elves, they feed me all the time. They feed me constantly, so they take care of me. And Mrs. Claus is a wonderful cook.
Oh.
She's a wonderful cook and a love.
What's your favorite Santa food?
My favorite Santa food is anything Pepperidge Farm. And if a nice little chaser for the Pepperidge Farm is anything Haagen-Dazs. So that's a nice combo.
So are the elves now using computers to compile lists?
Oh, God, yes, we have to now because, the children are very smart now and they know not only what they want, but the make, the model number, the color, the size, and everything. So
But that's got to be helpful.
very, because I have a huge Excel spreadsheet in the sleigh, and it enables me to basically get the job done with more efficiency. And the children are helpful with that.
Now, do you think there'll ever be a time when you tap into Amazon and have them help you out? Or do you hate Amazon?
Well, Amazon really, really cooked my goose until I got up to speed because, they introduced a whole new paradigm to the Santa phenomenon. And I had to, I cursed them in the beginning, to be honest, I cursed them. But in the end, they've been responsible for a great deal of happiness because they provide the efficiency to get things done. But don't forget, they're threatening to deliver with drones as well.
I know.
So they get in my way sometimes, but I'm pretty good at figuring out.
That's going to be an issue. And fortunately, you'll have the whole year of watching what they're going to do with drones before you set out again next
You don't know.
Christmas.
You don't really
Yeah,
know
I
until you hit the sky, and then, it could work or it couldn't.